Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Elbows Tight Podcast. It's your hosts, Travis and John. John, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good today. How you doing?
Not bad, man. It's a beautiful day outside. Do you see how nice it is outside?
It is.
It's a beautiful Sunday morning. Well, afternoon now, right? Yeah, 1 o'clock in the afternoon here. This is a little bit of an earlier episode for us. It is going to be just John and I today, just hanging out, BS, and talking about what's been going on lately. So before we get into it, though, we can go ahead and jump into the beverage of the day.
Today's beverage of the day is a little different. As we said, it's earlier, so I'm not trying to drink a bunch of beer and then go run some errands. But today we have some Stoke Protein cold brew coffee. I don't know if anyone's ever seen this before. I didn't. But one serving is as much protein as 2 eggs and a slice of bacon. I was like, man, I like that a lot. And we have also included some Leavenworth Distillery they have out there. They make an espresso vodka. It's delicious. Sometimes I like to add a little splash to my coffee. But that's where we're at.
Yeah, right now this protein cold brew. I've seen a lot of this like protein cold brew stuff going on. I don't know what they do to it, but it's like Starbucks' cold brew. Their nitro cold brew has protein in it also, and then Bang. Have you obviously?
Yeah, the Bang protein one.
Yeah, the Bang keto coffee protein one.
Yeah, that one just didn't have the same kick. I drank it, and it seems like the other ones just had a little more kick.
Yeah, the problem that I had the first time, if you guys have never had the keto coffee cold brew, or not cold brew, Bang coffee, you have to shake it quite a bit, like, because if you don't, it's like super thick, and it does not taste nearly as good as if it is shaked up. And on the can, it doesn't even say it in big bold letters. It says in small fine print, shake well before drinking.
Yeah, right.
But it's actually pretty good. I really like that espresso vodka. I wish I had more of it. Maybe we could, spice it
No,
up.
not for today. Maybe next time. And I wish I wouldn't have added, a cup of cinnamon to mine. I just wanted a little bit, but we'll get there.
Yeah, you went to have a little dash and.
Well, you were missing the little filter on top that lets you sprinkle it out.
Oh, you know what happens? It has the filter. It has the thing on it. But what happened was when you take the cap off, sometimes it sticks to the inside of the cap. So John was like dabbing on mine, and then he went to go dab on his, and it was just like a big blob of cinnamon on the top of his coffee.
But it still tastes good. That's what's important.
Yeah. So, but John, what you been up to lately, man?
Oh man.
How's everything going? How's the jiu-jitsu journey? How's the family? How's everything?
Family's good. We just reconnected with some friends we hadn't seen in a while yesterday. That was fun. Jiu-jitsu's going good. I don't know if maybe people in Washington know, but there's a big tournament next weekend, Revolution. Mm-hmm. So our school's been up in the training a bit, trying to help out the guys that are competing. So there have been a couple more new open mats we don't normally have. So I went to the one we had Friday.
Ooh, how was that?
It was pretty good. It was kind of small. There was just 3 or 4 people there, but it's nice to have opportunity for open mats because we can go in, we can practice things that, we want to practice, not necessarily what we're going over. I feel like it just helps you kind of retain that memory.
Yeah. I really like open mat too because same thing is like, I'm like, well, I saw this move on YouTube.
yeah, for sure.
I wonder if it's going to work out. No, I was out doing Ragnar this weekend. If you guys don't know what Ragnar is, it is a 200-mile, 12-person team relay race. So we started off in Blaine, Washington, literally at this park that's in Blaine, Washington, that is, I'm going to say probably 50 feet away from Canada. Like, you can see Canada. They have no fence up there. There's just a sign that says beyond this point is Canada, and it's Canadian residents right across the street, right? And someone was telling us, they're like, yeah, you could walk over there, but there's constant border patrol that will just come over and say, hey, you got to come back. But we went to like the Friendship Arch or the Peace Arch that Canada gave us in the early 1800s. And it's just this big, huge arch that they have posted right in between.
You get any cool pictures?
Yeah, I got some pretty cool pictures. I posted a couple of them on my Instagram story. And I got a couple on my phone. Lauderdale and I had a blast, though. She was the first runner, so she took off from Blaine, Washington, and then ran. Her first leg was 6.5 miles, and it was a blast. I'm not even gonna lie, I was totally against doing it because I don't like running anymore, and doing a 200-mile relay just did not sound fun to me. But at the end of the day, it was a blast. It was so much fun.
So you don't regret doing it?
No, I don't regret doing it. I would never do it again. There's people there that have been doing it multiple times for multiple years. And they basically told us, you say you'll never do it again, but you'll be back next year. And I was like, I don't think you know who I am.
What'd you think about Deception Pass, the bridge?
Dude, that was beautiful.
Wasn't it?
Dude, so the person that ran across Deception Pass, they actually gave them another medal besides just the Ragnar one, because they're like, this was the hardest leg of the journey, so we're going to give you an extra medal because you ran across Deception's Pass. But I believe it was like at dawn that they did it too, so it was like a sunset in the background,
so nice.
And it was beautiful, right? And I posted a video, like a quick little Instagram story. It was I was running through farmland at 10 o'clock at night, and as right before I took off, these guys were sitting there. They're like, "Oh, you're about to run next?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm about to do this. It's only 5.5 miles." They're like, "Oh, well, good luck. There's a haunted house on this leg." And I'm looking, I'm like, "What do you mean a haunted house?"
I would have been like, "Oh, what are you saying?"
Like, you mean like an actual haunted house? I said, yeah, it's like a mile down the road. There's a house on the left that's haunted. It's pretty creepy looking. And so the whole time I'm running, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, if I see anyone outside of wearing a shiny vest, I'm just booking it. I don't even care if I hurt myself. I don't care
For
what.
the fastest mile you ever ran.
Fastest, man. I was booking it, but it was fun. So to me, the thing that I didn't think was going to be a challenge was the mileage, right? Because I can run 6.5 miles, no problem. I can run 5.5 miles, no problem. But you throw 2 days of no sleep, constantly being on the go, not eating, not really drinking because you're in a van, so you don't get real food. And then just the stressor of everything. It was actually a challenge. It really was, especially for leg 2, which was my first 5.5 miles. It was hard.
So you have to run it a couple times?
You run 3 legs.
Oh, so you did a total of 15 miles?
17.1 or something like that in a day and a half. But while the other team, it's a 2-van team, right? So there's 6 people in each van. And when Vans 1 is running their legs, Van 2's resting. And when Van 2's running, obviously Van 1's resting. So everyone does it. You switch 3 times. And it takes about 5 hours for all 6 people to run their leg, right? But between trying to get food, driving to the next exchange location, getting everything ready to lay down and go to rest, maybe even taking a shower or trying to brush your teeth, you were on the ground, laying on a hard floor in a gym or a patch of grass for maybe 2 hours. And 30 minutes of that was you either trying to fall asleep or trying to wake up. So it was just
Oh, I bet.
It was definitely harder than I was expecting, but it was a lot of fun. I would never do it again just because, like I said, I don't like.
What if you had to do it again, do you think it would have been better if you'd brought like a one-man tent and just like hurried up and threw that up and like, because they only take like 30, 45 seconds to
I don't think a one-man tent would have done anything.
No.
I think we saw a guy with a cod. Like
a cot?
Yeah, a cot. Yeah, sorry. And it was like a foldable metal one. So he was like elevated off the ground and had a pillow. Saw some people with hammocks.
I was about to say I got 3 camping hammocks. They work pretty good.
Oh man, yeah, that would have been pretty good. But most of the places we were trying to sleep were inside, so there wasn't a whole lot of place that you can put a hammock up unless you brought portable poles, I guess, or something like that. But it was fun, dude. It was a blast. Met a lot of cool people. Saw a lot of beautiful scenery. I've never been to that part of Washington State by the border and onto Whidbey Island. So we ended on the end of Whidbey Island, right maybe 10, 15 miles away from the base.
And that's where I told you I was stationed for the last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we drove past it, and I was like, Lord, that's where John was stationed at. Like, she's like, wow, I couldn't imagine coming all the way up here. I was like, yeah, me neither. Thank God I didn't take that job off.
Every day, that was my my transit, man, from Silverdale to there.
I couldn't imagine.
Catching that ferry, worrying about the Hook Canal Bridge, everything.
Dude, we went to get a reservation on the ferry, but the ferry was so backed up, it was hours of a wait.
Oh, yeah.
And the only way you can get on is with a reservation. Well, obviously, And so we ended the race 4:00 in the afternoon, I think it was. And the next available ferry wasn't until 7:00 at night. Right? So we're like, we could sit here, hang out, and then go jump on the ferry. It's a 45-minute ferry ride and then an hour and a half drive.
And you're hoping the bridge is not open.
And I'm hoping I get on the ferry. Right? And so we're like, well, it's a 3.5 hour drive to drive around. So we just ended up driving around, ended up getting home, ended up getting to our friend's house at where all our cars were parked at about 8:30, 8:45 at night. And then Lauderdale and I actually got home probably about 10:30 at night. And so it was a long day because we woke up at 4:00 in the morning and then ran a couple miles, obviously. So I was beat this morning, but we couldn't even sleep in. We woke up at 6:30 and started our day. Walked Blaze outside, and
Blaze does pretty good on the trails, man.
Does he?
You should start taking him hiking.
Yeah, if you guys want to, you can follow Blaze, my red Doberman, on Instagram at Blaze the Foxfire Doberman.
There you go. Yeah, he did great with me. It was just me and him, so like he can go. If you can get him used to walking with you without a leash, it'd be even better. But
we took him today, and he was. You mentioned it before we started recording. How he's 6 months old, and he is about 50 to 60 pounds right now. And this dude will yank your arm off.
Mm-hmm.
I had to correct him so many times. And if there's any animal specialist out there that can teach me how to correct my dog better so he walks better on a leash, at me on the gram, DM me on the gram, because this dude, I feel like when he gets fully grown, if he keeps doing what he's doing, I'm gonna need shoulder replacement surgery.
Well, you already know mine are bad. So when I was walking him on my left, he yanked it, and I was like, "Uh-oh, all right, I'm putting him on the right."
All right, we're going to go ahead and just not do that. Yeah. So, but he's like walking around the room right now, guys. So if you hear him fussing and whatnot, that's him below us.
Like a horse galloping around the room. That's the dog.
He's like playing with his bone, and he keeps hitting the table and pushing the table and whatnot. So
I think I told you too. Deception Pass, for anyone that wants to look it up, you can look it up online. They got some really cool 4K video of it. But my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, I tried to get her to walk across the bridge with me, and she just completely panicked and started crying because.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty high up.
It is.
So
It is.
I think people don't realize that until they're going across it. But man, is it beautiful!
It is, and the cool thing that I learned about it too was that's one of the few passes that have an extreme current. Like you look down at the water and you can see rip currents, and like they're creating their own whirlpools and everything. It's nuts what how strong the current is, but it was beautiful. We drove as we're driving over the bridge. We couldn't really stop because we were trying to get home, but there's parking area that you could park and walk across the bridge, and I kind of wish we would have did it now, just because I'm not ever gonna really be back.
Oh, you can always go back though.
Yeah, I could go back, but it's a journey just to go back there. So
you just got to make it like a day trip. You got to go check out the old what was that movie that was filmed out in Port Townsend, Officer and the Gentleman, I think, with Richard Gere.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's what you're telling me. Yeah,
you can go check that place out and catch the ferry, go back over. But yeah, the scenery up there is just beautiful too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the coolest part. If you guys ever get a chance to do a Ragnar, you don't really have to train for it, because unless you plan on taking a day and a half of your life and not sleeping and not eating to train for a Ragnar, there's no real way to train for it by just doing it. But I would recommend the Northwest Passage one, even if you don't live in Washington State like us, or you live close, or you just want to do one. They're all over the United States, but it was beautiful. The scenery running through farmland and.
Do they have that in Vegas?
I don't know.
Man, I bet it's hot. They'd have to do that like at the right time of year. Huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because if we were talking about it because one of our teammates was an ultra marathon runner, and so he's about to do a 50K, which is 30-mile race, and we started talking about ultra marathons, and they have one that is in Death Valley. That's a 50 mile. I think it's a 50 or 100-mile ultra through Death Valley.
No way. I remember driving through Death Valley and looking at the temperature in my truck, and it's like 108 outside, and I'm like, yeah, not going to happen.
That's going to be a no for me, dog.
Yeah, no. I could see the salt. I drove through there before with no air conditioning and an old car, and I could see the salt on top of my skin while I was turning red inside the vehicle.
Oh, my gosh. No, thank you. Growing up in Vegas, I never went to Death Valley or anything like that, but I didn't realize how hot it was until I told people, like, yeah, no, we would be outside playing, and you could play with the asphalt as it's like melting on the ground.
Yeah.
And it was.
It's when you can really fry an egg on the sidewalk.
You could literally fry an egg on the.
Since Blaze is playing with his toys.
He's like freaking out with this cloth bone right now. Lordell doesn't want him in the room while we record, so.
Oh.
That's why he's in here hanging out with us. But I thought I was okay with like humidity, heat. If anyone has ever been in dry heat and then humidity, maybe you guys would agree or disagree. But I would much rather deal with humidity now than dry heat. Like being in Guam, it'd be like 80 degrees outside, but humidity's like 80%, 90%. And you get used to that after a while. You just sweat a little bit more. You got to take a little couple extra showers or not, depending on who you are.
And no allergies hit you on the race either. Huh? That's good.
No. And that was one thing, too, is the second we got back into Kitsap County.
Dog just doing his job.
The second we got back into Kitsap County, my nose instantly just lit up.
Oh.
It was crazy. So, and then it was like sniffling, and I was like, I hate this place, man. Like right when I get back home is when I didn't have any coughs, no sneezes, nothing the whole time, and then I was lit up right back now. So, but
well, that's good. I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, it was fun. Now Lordell is
now she wants to do Tough Mudder next year. Get that team going.
Well, I'm down to do a Tough Mudder. I'm down to do a Spartan race. But if it's pure running, I have no desire.
It's not pure running. It's just it's actually not even really too much running in between obstacles. I think they have one stretch of running, but it's only a couple miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if someone's knocking on my door. This dog is killing me. Lordell now wants to sign up for a half marathon. She just signed up for our breast cancer half marathon. And so she's like, what do I got to do to train for it? I'm like, well, I mean, you got to do some sprints. You know, if anyone has ever done marathon training, or if they haven't, one thing that a lot of people do not do is they don't do sprints for their marathon training, right? So you have your two energy system, aerobic and anaerobic, right? You got to train both of them in order to get better just overall.
Right.
And a lot of sprinters or a lot of marathon runners actually do sprints too. Like they'll do 200-meter sprint, walk, 200-meter sprint, walk, 400-meter sprint, rest, you know, and they'll do 800s and stuff like that. But a lot of people don't realize that. So when they do marathon training or half marathon training, they think they just have to run for long periods of time for long distances. But really what you want to do is you want to focus kind of like on your energy systems and your strides and everything like that in order to get better and in the long run for a longer distance. Like, yes, you want to train long distances when you're doing your marathon runs, but you also want to do like track work, do a little bit of track work, and it's fun. You know what I mean? So I think what we're going to do is, now that Lordell signed up for it, maybe once a week go do some sprints around a track.
Yeah, I talked to Katie because she used to do running a lot.
Oh, really?
And I can't remember who at the gym, but they do that kind of long distance running. And Katie was working with her for a while. I was going to ask, you know, they tell me one thing that they can do for runners is talk a lot while they're running.
Yeah.
It helps them. But for me, I do not like to talk.
No? You don't even like running, though.
Well, I mean, I'd go running with Katie, and she'd always hate it because I don't really have a problem with it. But she'd want to talk, and I'm like, quit talking to me. I'm trying to just watch. I'm just trying to monitor my breathing.
Yeah. I told Lordell one way because Lordell has a hard time breathing when she runs, and I try to tell her, like, sing along with her music.
Yeah.
Talk, right? Do anything to kind of focus and keep yourself breathing at a steady pace. Mm-hmm. And unless you're doing, in my eyes, like a 5K is a sprint to me, right? It's a short distance. It's only 3 miles, and you can run it relatively fast, right? Like you can do a 5K. My fastest 5K was 20:20, right? And so, but that's to me was like almost a full blown like sprint for a lot of it. But when it comes to a half marathon or something like that, only the top level guys are really getting very low 3 hours, 2.5 hours, or even in the 1 hour marks.
So, how long are these again? Break it down to me. The 5Ks are what?
5K is a 3.1 mile race.
Okay.
10K is 6.2.
And
so
how big is the one she wants to do?
Lauderdale wants to do a half marathon, which
is
13.1 miles.
Whew.
Yeah, and then
You run that straight?
You run it straight, right? Dude, this dog is killing me, man. And then you have a marathon, which is 26.2 miles. I've ran 2 marathons in my life on Guam, once again. Now, I don't recommend people doing this. I didn't really train for a marathon. I did long distance. I just did long distance runs the entire time that I was training, air quotes, for my marathon. I didn't do any sprints or anything really long or anything other than like 5Ks to 10Ks or whatnot. And my first marathon, I thought I was in shape. I thought I was a good runner. My first marathon was over 5 hours long. It was like 5 hours and 15 minutes. It was ridiculously long, right? 2 weeks later, I ran my second marathon, and I did it in 4 hours and 45 minutes or something like that. So anything sub 5 for average person is a pretty good time in my eyes for a lot of people. But if I could go back and do it again, I would have done a little bit of track work. I would have worked on my anaerobic as well as my aerobic.
Are those fairly expensive to do, or
no? They're usually most marathons are less than $100 to do it. But once again, like people justify or like, you want me to pay $100 to run? No, I'm good.
I think $100 is fine.
Yeah. Are the for everything for the Ragnar? This last weekend was pretty expensive, but that's because there's 12 people doing it. You got to rent vans and food and everything like that as well. But it was a whole lot of fun. I told Lauderdale, I love you. You're the woman of my dreams, love of my life. I am not running another marathon or half marathon. So if you want to do that, you're gonna have to find someone.
What about trail running? That's what I want to get into. I want to find somewhere you do like I've done a couple of 5Ks, but those were not challenging at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I just kind of like ran through that, but I'd rather do something where it's like running through these beautiful woods we have.
I know there is a Ragnar has a trail race. They have a trail run through Crystal Mountain, and oh, he's got a cord in his mouth.
Well, he didn't chew through it, so
I'm gonna go put him in the room real quick.
We are gonna pause for a minute if anybody wants to grab their own beverage of choice. Yeah, I think the trail running looks interesting because it looks like it's a little less impact on the knees and everything. You know, you got like the natural cushion.
Yeah. So like I was saying, the Ragnar trail run, it's up on Crystal Mountain, Mount Rainier, I think it is, and it's only 17 miles, but it's a 17-mile trail run, and there's legs to it. So I think what they were telling me was each person has to run a loop kind of up and down the mountain. And then you trade off, and then you go up and down the mountain.
I'd be interested in that.
And I think it's six or 9 people. It's not 12 people. And I told him, that sounds fun. I'm good. That's gonna be a no for me, dog. But there is a Spartan Sprint coming up in April up here. There is a bunch of marathons, half marathons coming up.
Are those considered actual races, like first place, second place? You know, like one thing I like about Tough Mudder was there's no it's not a race. It's just start and finish. Your goal is to just finish.
For marathons, half marathons, yes, there is a first place. For marathons, depending on the marathon, if you get within a certain time frame, you can qualify for bigger name, like the Boston Marathon.
Yeah.
You could qualify for it. So,
you.
Not really a race in a sense of getting first place and whatnot, but in a sense of you want to get this below this time. That way you can go to bigger, better things, right? And then once again, that's at a higher level of running, right? That's the people that are seeking a goal to participate in this, and that's what they want, right? So, but as a normal person, I be competing against the clock. I want to get a better and better time when I'm doing it. You know what I mean?
It's like the guys at CrossFit, but they record every workout.
Yeah.
Whereas I go and I've never recorded one. I just want to get through it.
Just want to get through it, right? It's like it's every workout is an accomplishment.
Yeah,
like,
that's how I feel about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't quit. As long as I finish, I'm good.
And that was the goal for the Ragnar this weekend too. Was, I'm pumped if I just finish this. I knew I was going to finish it. I just didn't think I was going to be as sore as I am. So, my right knee, I've been battling an injury with my right knee lately. And at the start of my second leg, I ran maybe 200-300 yards and sharp pain right through the knee. And I was like, oh no, man. And so I stopped for a second, shook it off, and then just readjusted my stride and I ended up finishing it. But it was a back and forth all weekend with my knee, man. So I definitely don't think I'm gonna be pushing that too much this week coming up because I don't want a blown out knee. So,
right.
But I would like to do the next thing I would like to do is maybe a Spartan or a Tough Mudder. That'd be cool, just because it's something different.
We're gonna do the Tough Mudder next year. I looked at doing it this year because it's coming up in like a month or two. But the tickets right now are almost $200 a piece. Wow. And you got to pay for parking. When I did it in 2013, the tickets were only about $80, and you did not have to pay for parking.
Capitalism.
Yeah, so I guess now that it's it's popular, it just costs more.
Yeah, Lordell and I were talking today, and they actually have coming up in August. We're gonna take Charles, our kid, to do it. You should take the girls. They have a kids obstacle course, like a Tough Mudder. It's 2 or 3 miles, so it should take like an hour long, and parents get to run it for free, and it's $45 for your kid to do it.
That's cool.
So the parents get to run with the kids while they're doing it, and then the kid gets to enjoy it and have an obstacle course. I think it's in Seattle is where it was at. So there's like there's walls to climb, rock walls. There's mud pits, cargo nets, all kinds of cool stuff. And
I won't tell you what I was thinking the obstacles would be when you said it's in Seattle, but
Oh my god, it's just so crazy. So, but we're gonna take Charles to go do that and see how that is. I think that'd be a fun, cool thing to have Charles figure out and push through and whatnot. So I think every kid should have to face a little bit of adversity in their life. Personally, I don't know how you feel about it, but going through something like an obstacle course and figuring it out and pushing themselves and being able to trust themselves, know that they can do hard things like that, I think is a great character growth, especially for a young child like Charles, who's 10 years old.
Yeah, and it's got some obstacles, so that'll entertain them.
Yeah, exactly. And they, subconsciously they think they can, or they trust themselves more, and they're more confident in their skills and abilities.
Absolutely.
Kind of like jiu-jitsu. Kids in jiu-jitsu, man, when they're learning how to smartly defend themselves if a bully comes over and picks on them and whatnot. So
eventually we'll get some kid interviews in here too.
Yeah.
So we can get the kid perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think it'd be cool to see what the kids think of when they're rolling jiu-jitsu, or how they're actually enjoying it, or if they had to use it yet.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I told you, I've talked to a couple of kids that tell me they get bullied, and their main thing is they just try to stay away from them. You know? That's the biggest thing.
I tell Charles that all the time. Like, if someone's picking on you, bro, just walk away. If you don't need to defend yourself, then don't start a situation that you have to defend yourself, right? Yeah. If someone belittles you, as long as they're not physically hurting you or doing something to you that's going to cause damage, just walk away, man. Like, there might be some parents out there that disagree, but I think don't start a fight unless you absolutely have to. And then finish it like all this.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Bullying's a tough thing.
It is.
They keep trying to dress. I remember it when I was in school, but
yep, I got bullied all the time. So.
I remember, I know as parents, they always tell your kid, "Hey, did you tell the teacher? Did you do this?" But I mean, honestly, let's look at it. They can tell the teacher can tell the kid, but that's not going to resolve the issue. The teacher's not always going to be there. The principal's not always going to be there. The parent's not always going to be there.
And that's what I tell Charles all the time. I'm like, look, man, there's going to be situations when mommy and I or an adult are not there.
Yeah.
So you are going to have to be able to know what to do to make sure that you're all right,
Yeah.
And it don't. We talk about it all the time. Once again, it don't take much. Once you have a little bit of skills and abilities, most people are caught off guard by not being able to do something, right? Like, if Charles was to get taken down to the ground and he threw him in guard and then swept him, got on mount and punched him in the face a couple times, they're going to be blatantly surprised. Like, maybe I shouldn't mess with Charles anymore. So, but speaking of mindset, you've been reading that book Discipline by What's the guy's name?
Is it Rocco or I can't even think of it right now. I'm drawing a blank.
Jocko.
Jocko. Yeah. That Discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I picked it up. It was a good book. It was different. I had never heard of him, honestly. People told me, like, go listen to his podcast, go check it out. So I did. I listened to the podcast. It was interesting. I wanted some new reading material, so I went and checked out his book, Discipline. The book itself is awesome. It's a hardback. It's got a black cover. The paper's inside. I don't know if he designed this book himself, but it's interesting. I'd highly recommend it. It doesn't read like a book. Each page or 2 pages is like a topic. Like maybe 2 pages are about sugar. Why you need to be disciplined and how sugar is like a drug and basically you're addicted to it.
Yep.
You need to maintain discipline. Think about like every time you're eating that candy or that chocolate or the third donut. Really you're just eating poison.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks about, things that we struggle with every day, especially at my work. When I go to work, I'm trying to eat healthy. I'm trying to maintain. And a coworker comes in with 4 boxes of fresh baked donuts.
Oh, my God. They're so good.
4:30 in the morning from Larry and Christie's, like with all these delicious blueberry and apple fritters in there. Like, man, how do you resist this? Like, discipline is just key. And he goes through just things like that, just on like getting up in the morning. One thing that me and my wife have always talked about is I get up early every morning. My alarm goes off at 3:45. I'm normally awake at 3:44 before it goes off. But if I happen to wake up to the alarm, I just immediately get up out of bed. I go get ready.
Yeah.
Whereas for my wife, she likes 3 or 4 or 5 alarms.
Lordell too. Lordell literally has an alarm going off from 3:45 in the morning until I don't even know the time she's supposed to be at her office or at her desk.
Yeah, and I'm like, why do you do that to yourself?
And she doesn't get up to a single one of them.
Yeah.
She just randomly wakes up like, I'm late. I'm like, what do you mean you're late? You've been.
Yeah. So I mean, he talks about just simple things like that. Like when you know you have to do something, just do it. Don't think about it. And he talks about like there's a freedom in discipline, right? Like you stop worrying about it, you stop planning it because you have to do it. So just do it. Like even going to work, like. Just go to work. You got to go. It's easy sometimes to wake up and be like, man, I think I should just call out today. I don't really feel like going in.
Especially when your office kind of enables you to be able to do
that. And it's like, just don't do that. Just go in. I pretty much work every Saturday. I don't have to. But then I tell myself, I can get up. I can go to work at 5. I can get off at 1, make some extra money. If I don't go do that, because who wants to go to work, let's face it, then what's going to happen? I'm going to sleep in until around 7. I'm going to get up. I'm going to be a little lazy, drink a pot of coffee.
Yeah.
Maybe watch some TV for a minute. And next thing you know, it's 1 o'clock and I would have been off work anyway.
Yeah,
so I'm just going to go in.
That's people talk to me all the time. They're like, why do you do OT? I'm like, first of all, I love working. It's something I actually enjoy. I actually enjoy going to work, doing my job, and getting paid to do it. Right? Who doesn't enjoy making money? And then 2, it's like, what else? Yeah, what else am I gonna do? Like, I could spend 8 hours I like getting to work on Saturdays at 4 a.m. and getting off at noon.
Yep.
Right. Super easy. My morning's gone, but I still have the whole rest of the day. Not only that, but it's not like I don't have Sunday also to do whatever I need to. Right. Like this morning, Lordell and I woke up. We went to bed at 11 o'clock at night. Woke up at I don't know. It was like 6:30 this morning. Got dressed. Lordell actually got up, by the way, guys. She actually got up. She's asleep now in the bedroom, but she actually got up at 6:30 this morning. We got up, fed Blaze, took him outside, went on like an hour-long walk, went to church, and then came home, and now we're recording a podcast, right? And it's been a productive day. We cleaned downstairs a little bit, watched a little bit of TV, but I don't know. I could sleep in until 10 o'clock on a Saturday. Well, I mean, usually on Saturdays I'm coaching anyways. My Saturdays are always busy. But I don't mind going to work on the weekend and working a little bit to make a little bit extra money, so.
Well, I just want to tell you what I did this morning real quick.
Uh-oh.
I got up early, and I went to Green Light Diner in Polsbo for any of you Washington listeners here. And they have shrimp and grits on the menu right now for a limited time.
Oh, my God.
Delicious.
Really?
That's all I'm going to say. A big old bowl of shrimp and grits. And I was like,
We went to, after Ragnar yesterday, we went to this this little coffee shop right in downtown Coopville. I don't think it was Coopville. I forgot what city we were in. But anyway, so there's this little coffee shop that we went to, and I had a grilled cheese and ham sandwich as my first meal after the race.
I bet it was delicious, huh?
Oh my gosh, it was so good, dude. Like the cheese was like melting out the sides. It has like 2-3 pieces of thinly sliced ham on it.
And you burned all those calories. The
Burned
food's so much better.
Oh my gosh, it was like the best grilled cheese I ever had in my life. And then I went and got some hot wings, and then the last couple of days, my nutrition has been. Sorry, Cody, if you're listening to this, my nutrition has been through just terrible, absolutely terrible. Because like I was saying, we don't really have time to eat real things, and you don't want to eat anything heavy when you got to go run some miles later in the day.
Carry some wet wipes.
Yeah, definitely gonna need some of those. The best part, Ragnar, I'm gonna give you guys a shout out. The porta potties smelled great. They were always clean. Fresh toilet paper always in them. They're
Sounds better than work.
It's a highlight of my day, man. Because nothing's worse when you're hot, sweaty, tired, and you're like, oh, I just need to use the bathroom real quick. And then you walk into a stinky, dirty, nasty porta potty, and you're like, I just want to use the bathroom. No, they were clean. They were nice, dude. It was. We even talked about it while we were running. Like, yo, you guys been in the porta potties yet?
They're so nice.
They're so nice. Like they smell so good. Like even you flip the seat up, you're like, is that lemon?
Yeah, the other depressing thing I had happen this morning, though, is, I've been getting back into the CrossFit pretty good.
Did you actually go today?
What is today?
Oh, today's Sunday. Never mind.
No, but I've been going 2 or 3 times a week and doing our jiu-jitsu, right? So I feel like I've been getting a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
Then I got on the scale this morning, and it was 170.1.
How's that depressing? What's wrong?
That means I've lost almost 4 pounds in the last 2 weeks. I thought I'd be putting on a little muscle. I upped the protein, upped the weights, and I was like 170.1. That's going down.
Do you even lift, bro?
Well, I mean, it's weight. I'm lifting it. I didn't think I'd be losing weight.
Well, I mean, you're being more active now, so you're probably losing a little bit of fat.
But that's not going to work in jiu-jitsu. I'm not trying to get in the 160s while doing that.
Why not, man? Why not?
Them big boys in there. I guess too much.
Yeah, but just think when you compete.
Yeah. Oh, when I do? All right.
John, you're going to compete, man. It's like we talk about we're not going to compete, but I guarantee you'll do it one time.
I'll tell you what. If I ever do it, I'll wait till I'm a blue belt.
Why blue belt? Because
I watch the YouTube videos.
You watch YouTube videos?
And the upper belts, I would say, when I say anything upper, that's blue belt and higher, they seemed a little more controlled and less sporadic. And I watched some of the white belt matches, and it was like two animals, that were fighting for their life, using every bit of energy. I mean, just like all over the place. And when it was over, I was like, it was like watching King Kong versus Godzilla, and they were just putting everything into it.
Dude.
And when it was over, I was like, I would break,
literally.
I would break in half.
Literally would break in half.
Not gonna happen.
That's so funny.
And then I was thinking, well, if I did do it, I'd be in like the master's class. So when I looked at the Revolution rules, my matches would actually be 1 minute shorter because of my age. Long as
they don't want your hips to get
and I was like, well, hey, that would be good. I could deal with that. But back to books. Sorry.
Oh yeah,
we got on a tangent.
Yeah.
But I recommend that book. It was great. I also lent one of my books that I picked up to Travis, which was about what? Do you remember what it?
It's like champion mindset.
Yeah, champion mindset,
like
how champions think.
Yeah.
So
I've been reading it a little bit, and it's pretty good so far. The only problem I have with it, and I think we talked about this on like the second episode or something like that. The only problem I have with it is like context, content. Like there's just only so much you can say about a champion and how they think. Because to me, there's a lot of good quotes and like one-liners in the book, but I'm just worried I'm going to read this 200, 300-page book, and it's just going to be the same thing over and over again, right? So I just need to get deeper into it. But it's so far it's so good. It just talks about like the difference between like scenario. It's more along the lines of like a champion mindset scenario versus a average person scenario, right? And how a champion's going to do this and an average person's going to do this, right? And that's what makes them the champion. That's what makes them get better at what they're doing, right? Like a champion's going to be out sweating in the field by themselves, as where an average person wants to be out there with someone else. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's the hard part. But so far it's been a pretty good book. I'm such a slow reader, but I haven't read it since the last time I think we talked about it because we've been busy, but I'm like 30, 40 pages deep into it. And,
yeah, I need to get some. I need to get some good book recommendations. I read a ton of books, but it's always science fiction, fantasy books. You know, it's
I don't think I've ever read a science fiction
I don't
book.
watch TV. Like I tell
Yeah.
people that I read books. I think in the last 4 days I've read 3 that were about 600 pages each.
Jeez.
Like, since Friday. Like I'm on the last one now in a trilogy. You know, but
What are you reading?
I don't even remember the name of the one I'm reading right now. But I can't tell people, whoever's listening, if you read science fiction or anything like that. I'll give you 2 of my favorite books. The Forever War by Joe Haldeman. You should really read that one. That is a guy that was in Vietnam. And he wrote this fiction novel to kind of like encompass how Vietnam felt to him and how it felt when he would go out on a tour and then he'd come back to the U.S. Then he'd go back on a tour and then he'd come back to the U.S. and he kind of put it in a science fiction theme. It was really good. And whoever reads Stephen King, who I'm not a great fan of now, but I was when I was younger, The Stand, which he wrote in the 70s. That's another good one. About 1,200 pages long.
What's The Stand about? Without giving the spoilers away.
So The Stand is basically the U.S. government's working on biological warfare, and they have a leak, and about 97% of the world's population dies. It's really good.
Oh. Weren't you guys talking about they made a movie about it?
They did
too?
make a movie, and Gary Sinise is in it, Rob Lowe. It's
Rob Lowe.
Yeah, it's actually a 12-hour mini-series they made in the early 90s. My daughter, who's 12, is watching it right now in Battle Mountain with her grandma.
Really?
Yeah.
She's saying she's liking it?
Yeah, she loves it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, she's got the book, too.
I need to read more science fiction, man. I think the only science fiction I've really ever read was like Hatchet in high school. Fahrenheit 451.
I read that one. That's the firefighters burning the books.
Yeah, books are outlawed in the future.
Yep.
And then I started reading like the first Game of Thrones, but I'm the type of person where if I don't understand what I'm reading because I don't understand what the words mean, I can't read it. You know what I mean? Like that's the hard part about a lot of stuff. It's like, I'm in my head, I'm like, am I saying his name right? Like, is that how you say it?
So you've never read the Dune series?
I don't even know what that is.
Frank Herbert? Oh, man, that's like, they made that movie too. Sting's in it, you know, stuff like that.
Sting?
Like, yeah. You
like
should.
the wrestler?
No, I'm sorry. Bruce Springsteen. Sorry.
Oh.
That's how I always think of him in my head. Like
I was like, Sting? He has painted face?
You should definitely. And they also made the movies for all of those. But,
really?
Yeah. That's back in the day. It was good stuff. My uncle used to give me books when I was a kid, and I'd try to read them, and they were so beyond my comprehension level, I'd have to set them down and then pick them up when I was older.
I feel like I wish I would have read more when I was a kid because I am such a bad reader now. Not a bad reader, and is like I'm just a slow reader. Like I fully comprehend what I'm reading. I can tell you what I read and whatnot, but I'm just not fast, and it kind of frustrates me because I don't want to spend a month reading a 200-page book, like, you know. So, and it's not that bad, but you know what I mean. It's like it's one of those things. I wish I would have read a little bit more when I was a kid, but now I'm an adult and I enjoy reading, and I'm not good at it, so I can't get to your level reading 600-page books.
Well, again, when I'm reading those kind of books, though, it's just purely entertainment. I'm not actually trying to remember or retain anything.
Oh,
so
I got
that's
what
why
you're
I'm
saying.
trying to move on a little bit more of these books that could help me out, you know, with like jiu-jitsu or you know, some type of mental coaching or strength coaching. I got some
like I said earlier. I like reading like science books and psychology books, stuff like that. I got some psychology books or something like that I can give you. It talks about just like mindsets of people and whatnot. We can exchange some books, do a little bit of a book club. So, but they're pretty good.
Once we have a way for the audience to send us like some messages or anything, that'll be interesting They
can send us messages.
Oh, where at?
You can follow us on Facebook at Elbows Tight Podcast page. We have an Elbows Tight Podcast group, also ETP the group.
Yeah.
That you can post in there, questions, comments, concerns, whatever you want. You can also message us on Facebook. You can follow us on the Instagram at Elbows Tight Pod.
I think we updated the picture too where we're on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to guess who's Travis and who's John, let us know.
Right. If you guys don't know what we look like already. But yeah, that was a big thing lately too, is that we've got some graphic design work done for the podcast. We got a cool little logo and picture now. One thing John and I want to do is we want to start implementing that logo on stuff, right? So I'm looking at a patch making company to make us patches for our geese, and then whoever comes on the show, or you guys can even buy them online, we can have people with Elbow Tight Podcast patches, so which is super cool. And then we want to get like beer koozies and whatnot, you know. make this a lifestyle brand, bro. Elbows tight always.
Yeah, there you go.
Elbows tight forever. Brian, our pastor, walked up to me at church today, and he walks over and he just like squeezes my elbow, and I'm like, "What's up, Brian?" He just blankly stares at me. He's like, I thought they would be tighter. He's like, "You're gonna get so tired of that." I'm like, oh, Jesus, man. But that's something. That's a new thing that's coming up. We got a couple of ideas coming up. I would like to do T-shirts or whatever, just repping our stuff.
A nice rash guard would be really cool.
That would be really cool. Kind of like how our Black Label Jiu-Jitsu rash guard and stuff is so legit, or even our Pacific Northwest Jiu-Jitsu stuff. So, but, well, I think we should call it there, man.
Yeah, I think if anybody wants a preview of the next one, I think we're going to try to get one of the competitors in Revolution to come on and talk to us about the tournament and experiences they had. Yeah,
that's something I really want to do, too, is talk to people that were there and competed and whatnot. That'd be kind of cool to hear what it was actually like being out on the stage.
I'm going to go watch, so I'll give a perspective as a fan, someone that's there watching.
I'll probably coach the morning of and then head out there afterwards. I actually signed up. If you guys, we talk about we're not going to compete, I actually tried to sign up for Revolution, but the only problem was I want to do no-gi competition, and there was no one in my weight class for no-gi at the time. And then now Lordell and I are going to go see Amy Wong, the stand-up comedian, over in Seattle that weekend, or this weekend now. So instead of me doing that, we're going to go see her. But I actually did sign up, or was trying to sign up to do it, but there was no one in my weight class, and I'm not going to go move up in weight class.
I don't blame you.
Cody won't let me do a cut to drop down a weight class. So, But anyways, anything else, John? You want to?
Nope, that's it, man. Farewell.
Yeah. Remember, guys, if you want, you can follow us on the Instagram at Elbow Tight Pod. Leave a like, comment, subscribe on us on iTunes, please and thank you. Follow us on Spotify, all of our social medias, everything is at Elbow Tight Podcast. The more we get likes, the more reviews, the more subscribers we get, the bigger the podcast get, and the bigger we get out there, so we can have more people on and have more things to talk about with future guests and whatnot. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. It's a little bit of a shorter one today, but we just wanted to get one out there to have you guys so you're not going weeks without hearing our beautiful voices. John's Barry, what was it?
Barry White.
Barry White's voice. Yeah. So thanks guys for hanging out. We'll catch you later.